Probably just start by making yourself comfortable in the chair, just finding a comfortable position. Not looking for perfect posture or anything, but just registering, how you're sitting, where your feet are, where your shoulders are, where your hands are, and so on. You can't begin to change anything without knowing what it is you're changing. A couple of slow, gentle breaths, give yourself a chance to settle in. And what you may find is, with your experience in Tai Chi, as you do just sort of like notice these things, there's a kind of automatic adjustment takes place. Your feet will shuffle into place, your hips will adjust slightly, and so on and so forth. So we start to feel the benefit of sort of an accumulation of practice over a period of time. Rubbing your hands together, tapping over your face. Over your head and neck. One shoulder, your arm, side, and the upper part of the chest. Belly, and your legs. Right. Sit back in your chair in the reclining position, feet out. Encourage the feeling of dropping into the chair, allowing yourself to drop into the chair. This feeling of being pulled down and relaxing with that feeling is the process of rooting down. So when we come to the upright positions, we're going to want to try and reproduce this feeling largely without the support of the chair, or without the same sort of support of the chair. Give yourself a few moments in this position just to notice any changes, any particular key areas of the body that you feel are sort of rising to your attention. And when we come back to the upright position, being a little bit more precise about your positioning, posture. So if you can be slightly forwards in the chair, that's helpful, because you tilt forwards a little bit, you start to feel some of your weight in your feet. So we feel supported by our feet and by our hips on the chair. And again, looking for that feeling of dropping down through your body. And at the same time, appreciating that there's the sort of counter movement. There has to be, otherwise you'll just sort of get to collapse into the floor. If there wasn't some kind of way in which our bodies neutralized and resisted this downward movement. And to begin with, we can think of that largely as happening through our skeleton. That our skeleton is supporting us from within and is actually holding us upright a little bit. Becomes a bit more subtle than that after a while, but that's a good starting point. So we can begin to lose some of the tightness and stiffness, the big muscles, particularly the upper part of the body, opening up a sense of space within the body for movement. Now, gently turning your head. So we want the movement to fill the space that's being created, gently flowing through those areas over a period of time, just using that movement to grow, to dissolve barriers to movement. So you get a greater range of movement, but never strained. Hands in front of your shoulders, circling your elbows back. And then going forwards. Hands to your sides and rotating your arms. And then one. Back the other way. In the bones at the base of the pelvis, think of them as acting a bit like the blades of a rocking chair. You just tilt forwards, more of your weight going into your feet. Legs are sort of compressed slightly, and then we'll begin to expand and push you back. Sinking into your hips, so lower back, hips and buttocks compress, and then expand and push you forwards. So it's a movement that in theory doesn't require you to do more with your upper body than simply maintain the posture, maintain the structure. And I'm upright, there's this line from my hips to my shoulders, and I can maintain that line. Use my feet to push myself back up. I don't want to tilt forwards and bend forward, pull myself back. Maintaining that spacious quality in the upper part of the body, begin to appreciate the flow, front to back, almost like water flowing through your body, gently sort of bathing all the internal tissues. And then turning slightly. So more of your weight going towards one leg. Still the same process though. A little bit more difficult because in the turn, you want to make sure you haven't sort of twisted your shoulders around or something. So the flow of the movement remains the same and can become a useful indicator of whether you're maintaining the correct posture, the correct style of movement. And then in the other direction. And second. Back the other way. Coming back. Central position. So we've got the downward movement, the pull of gravity, we've got that response of the body pushing up. Through the agency of the center of the body, we sort of translate that vertical movement into a forward and backward movement, directing it with the turning hips and waist. Feeling the patterns of movement in the upper part of the body. So far, it's been very simple. And then finally, bringing our arms into the movement. Your arms hang down by your sides, as with the upper body in the previous exercises. We want to keep a sense of space in the arms to allow the energy, the movement to flow nicely through the arms. So just let your arms hang down, be aware of the weight of them, turn your hands, palms forwards, but never so much that you feel as though that the muscles are gripping. There's a difference between a muscle that is extended and maybe under load as a result, and a muscle that's begun to tighten up. And this is true all the way through our bodies. And that one analogy we might draw is with a musical instrument, a stringed instrument like a violin or a guitar, where the strings are tuned to exactly the right degree of pull, shall we call it, on the string to get the pure note. If it's slightly too slack or slightly too tight, then we lose that. So you could think of your body as being like a musical instrument. The skeleton is like the body of the instrument. And the various soft tissues, not just the muscles, but tendons, ligaments, fascia, and so on, are really like strings. And the movement itself is a bit like sound, the note coming out. So hands down to your sides, and then bird folds its wings. So one way of coming to terms with the sense of the energy in our bodies is a sense of resonance. This time changing to fisherman castanet, palms from your hands facing back. Your weight begins to move, tilting of the pelvis moves your shoulders forwards That draws your arms through and back. Again, that fluidity of movement through your body right into your fingertips. And then start leaving your arms out in front as you come upright. Imagine rolling the ball in towards your chest. Sense of the movement, the energy rising up underneath your arms like a wave building from the feet. And we start to get a sense for one of the principal dynamics, one of the principal sort of energetic cycles stemming from this yielding to the pull of gravity and our body's responsiveness to that, shaped and directed through the center of the body. So a lot of our attention and a lot of our intention focus into that central part of the body. It's a part of the body that connects to all other parts. And as you get to know the movements better, you get to know the shape and the feel of the movement. And the intention with any particular exercise is to let the body flow into that shape. Underpinning that, just sort of a kind of generalized background intention is with this sinking down, this yielding with the pull of gravity and everything that emerges from that. One more time. Putting your hands palm in. As you go back, drawing your elbows apart. This pigeon spreads its wings. We go through the different movements, we become aware of different patterns of movement, almost different pathways through the body. Noticing where the exercises seem to be most effective in a way, where do we feel parts of the body expanding, contracting? One more time. And then pushing wave, hands staying in front of your hips, elbows going out just a little bit, turn the hands palm forwards. as you go forwards, just see how your arms curve upwards. We're not lifting our arms. Our arms are being pushed forwards by our shoulders, and in this shape, they'll naturally curve up. It's worth noting that process, what's happening within your body as your arms swing upwards. Later we'll come to exercises where there is more of an upward movement. And if we can begin to get a sense for the dynamics within our body at this point, then that can make a contribution towards our arms going up without straining, and that's important. One more time. Hands coming straight back now, loosely fisted. This time at the end of the movement, open your fingers, turn your hands palm out, chest opening, winding in, hands at the level of your hips, and then once again that press forwards, which swings your arms up. And turn your hands palm down. Turn a little bit to one side, go forwards. Use that movement to extend your arms forwards. Swing across and back. This is polishing the table. Change direction. Easing out from your center. Tracting back in, settling into this posture, and then reversing the direction. One more in each direction. Go back to the center, turning your hands palm up. Feeling that pull down with the pull of gravity. Again, a sense of compression, really from the lower part of your back down into your feet. And it's like if you get a ball or a block of wood and you push it down into water, then as soon as you start doing that, you feel the buoyancy of the water creating an upward movement. If you were to take your hand away, the ball would bob up to the surface again. And in the same way, as we sink down, we become aware of this upward movement. We're now going to make use of that several exercises. So from here, letting the shoulders drop, letting your rib cage drop towards your hips, and then feeling the movement upwards and press down. So expanding from the middle of your body, filling the upper body, but also a downward movement, because this exercise is called rooting down. And we need to develop that root in order to build the expanding movements, just like a tree needs to put down roots for its branches to grow. Then this time, here, turning your fingers out, and same idea, but your arms a little bit out from your body. This is the wild goose. With each downward movement, we get a stronger sense of what I described as compression. Just like the extending movements, it should never get to a point where you're having to force it, where it's tightening up. So there's a balance to find between the expansion and the contraction. And when we find that balance, we find that they really do support each other. And then easing forwards again, just to let your hands brush in front of your knees, sit back, sinking into your hips, pushing up, parting the clouds. Don't go forwards this time, but let your hands drop down from your shoulders and alternating from side to side. Dragon plucks the stars from the sky. Take time to let your arm come all the way down with the weight of your arm pulling on your shoulder. Your hand drop, open your fingers, bring your attention first of all to your belly and lower back, then to the opposite side, and then same movement, pushing up. And yeah, don't rush in. No rushing from left to right. Remember, aware of the center of your body just for a moment. Notice that can be quite a difficult thing to do. Take your time. You may find, for instance, that as your hand starts to lower, you're sort of ready to lift the other hand already. It tends to be our thoughts rushing ahead. And so focusing on those details of expansion and contraction, those patterns of movements within the body, on that transition from left hand to center to right hand and so on, are good things to focus on just to sort of settle our attention. Pull back a little bit from that need to rush, distractions, issues in our lives. So we gradually develop this sense of smooth movement and calmness, not just in the body, but in the mind as well. One more on each side. Bring your hands up to the sides of the center of your body, and then around in front, extending through your back, pressing your arms up and push out to the sides. It's inevitable that we do practice bringing our attention within the body. We tend to find that that becomes a very settling process with the mind. When we get more experience, we specifically focus to this area in the center as the area is both dropping to the ground, but also which is going to be direct in the upper part of the movement. And at the same time, just becomes the seat of that stiller quality in the mind. It's almost as though our thoughts can rest there. So this is better than trying to stop our thoughts or to block our thoughts. It's just a simple adjustment from whatever we were thinking about before to an awareness of posture and movement and flow through the body. And so as you push your hands out, turn a little bit in your hips and your waist, redirect your arms, turn back to the front. Your hands come back to the sides. Change direction and back. And finally, facing the front and pushing out, pushing in 4 directions. This time, extend one foot. Let's rest the heel on the ground. Make sure you haven't blocked your knee out. Tilt forwards again. This time, leaving your weight back mostly. Let your hips drop back in the chair, drawing your head, your shoulders, and your arms over. Scooping the sea and looking at the sky. I want to strain in your back and shoulders. Letting your hands drop down and then loosely fisted, go forwards again, and this time drawing your arms over, grasping the tiger's ears. Taking time, particularly as you come back to here, to really settle, to feel that downward movement and the upward energy that arises from that, and up through your back and your spine. Change sides, starting with Scooping the sea again. And then grasping the tiger's ears. Bring foot back in. Yourself a moment to settle in to the posture. Each time we pass through the central point, we just sort of make that connection. Okay. And this helps to reinforce both the physical postures and the energetics and that sense of quietness and stillness in. So now move your weight into your right hip. Hold a ball, bringing your right hand top level with your shoulders. Left hand underneath, turn slightly to your right, and then move into your left foot. You're going diagonally, turning, feeding the left hand out, pressing down with the top. Draw back, so you bring your left hand across your chest. Turn your hands palm in at this point to hold the ball. Move into the left hand. And then do the same thing on the opposite side. Going forward into the right leg. This is parting the wild horse's mane. Back. Okay, and then just let your hands come to rest. It may be that focused attention that you've started to train, focus through the different movements, a little bit more aware of those significant qualities of this posture. And then, once again, rubbing your hands together. And starting on your face, tapping the pads of your fingers over your head and neck. One shoulder, your arm, the other side, onto the upper part of the chest. The belly. And your legs. Before we go into the standing, just pushing your heels up, feeling back into your legs. And then and back down. Okay, and then if you wish to stand, come into the standard posture, reproducing the same qualities, but obviously we have to rethink the structure a bit. I understand in line with the pull of gravity, and once again looking for that sense of dropping down, first of all through your hips and your pelvis. And as you begin to do that, and you begin to feel that, what becomes quite a reassuring sense of pushing up is like lowering yourself into water and going, oh yeah, the water's still holding me up. And letting that feeling build into the upper body, when your back supporting the front of your body, just allowing some of the tightness and the stiffness to dissolve away. And then let your hips drop down a little bit more, get stronger in your legs, bring your hands around, and then the standing version of rooting down. Again, think of the ball being pressed down into water. Change into wild goose again. And then part in the clouds. One more time. Give it an excellent shake. Now, change the stance. Step forward 1 foot, keeping the width of your step, not too long a step. And once again, transferring your weight forwards and backwards to see if you can settle into the leg and feel that push back. Same thing as going to the front leg. So it's the same as when we were doing this, had the upward and downward movement, but as in the chair, that is translated through the center into a forwards and backwards movement. So one of the reasons we put so much emphasis on the root in Tai Chi is because it is a major source of energy, of movement. It also helps us, of course, to maintain a stable posture, to release the upper body from straining against the pull of gravity, from straining against your own weight. And then as you go into the back foot, just raising your toes. Turn the front foot out a little bit, go forwards, push the back knee forwards so your heel comes off the ground. Now a little bit more of your weight moves over and into a single leg, and try and maintain your posture. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is have all our weight in one leg and our body nicely aligned over that leg. We finally reach that point when we step in. Just put your toes down very lightly, check your posture before you take the step out. Maybe even from that position, just raise your knee a little bit. On the other side. Raising toes and heel. Stepping in. Take a few steps through, either forwards or backwards, depending where you have space. Change direction. Have your right foot forwards. Move your weight back, start with your hands on your belly. We do the standing version of pigeon spreads its wings. Going forwards, and this time spreading your arms out as you go forwards. And then returning them to the belly as you go back. Now, let your hands drop down. Your sides, standing version of fisherman cast the net. It's time from the front foot. Still going straight back as you go back, you turn. Drawing your hands across your body. You curve downwards and upwards very gently. So again, just try and notice patterns of movement, of expansion and contraction through your upper body. And then this time, encouraging your arms to swing up a little bit further. And then as you go back, dropping down, turning, swinging up, making a sideways figure of eight movement, or perhaps akin to the infinity sign as found in physics and mathematics. Okay, take that. Left foot forwards. Same thing, starting with pigeon spread its wings. And then fisherman cast a net. Turning. Moving into the figure of eight. And then combining that with the step in that we did earlier, going forwards or backwards, depending on where you got the room again, bring the empty foot in, step out as you raise your arms. And again, maybe if it's comfortable, just raising the knee. If that throws off the movement, you lose the flow, start to strain, then just leave your toes down gently. I'm going to change direction after this one. And then come back to the parallel stance. And then return to your chair. Now, once again, it's finding that aligned, comfortable position. Feet down, hips sinking into the chair. Letting your arms drop, feeling the weight of your arms again hanging from your shoulders. Embrace tiger, return to mountain. Your arms coming up, but then feeling your hips, your shoulders, your elbows yield into the pull of gravity, bringing your arms in and down. One more time. And open your eyes. Lovely, that went very quickly for me anyway. Thank you very much, everybody, as always. So thanks for coming along.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your
Thanks.
day.